the sole purpose of making our institutions work better in bad times. And we also built our institution, Palantir, to thrive in bad times. It's no surprise and no news to anyone that those times are in many ways upon us, both in the geopolitical context, in the context of violence and war, and in the economic context. And at Palantir, we are expanding and seeking to hire more people that fit into Palantir, primarily technical, but people who are eclectic, interesting, intelligent, have their own opinions, believe in expressing those opinions, and will thrive in our culture. And Palantir is not for everyone, but many people who've come to Palantir viewed it as the centerpiece of their life. I view it as the centerpiece of my life. And for those of you who were once at Palantir and helped us build what is become a truly interesting, fascinating, and uniquely impactful institution on the global stage, you are also welcome to come back to Palantir, your once and former home. You will know there are many things you can do outside of Palantir, but there are some things that you can only do at Palantir. And you are especially welcome to come back. Any case, I'm hoping to meet all of you new Palantirians and help build a company to do even more interesting and impactful things in the future. The lesson for every big country is, holy, we've been buying all this heavy stuff, and if people are willing to fight as heroes, fight to the last person, which it takes resolve and heroism, and they actually know how to operate because they have access to software and can use the data, they might actually be able to beat us.
Yesterday, President Biden said the U.S. would respond militarily if China attacked Taiwan. The administration later tried to walk back that comment, saying it didn't reflect a change in U.S. policy. I asked Palantir CEO Alex Karp about what he thinks is really happening here.
The zeitgeist right now is this is a different moment. And small countries, a country like Taiwan, other countries that really want to, act in their own interests, are just in a very different state. And I think that seeps into the zeitgeist, which seeps into what Biden says and seeps into the reaction. But, I'm not a reader of politicians, obviously.
What do you think the risk is that there is an intervention or that China...
Well, let me frame it this way. I believe had Russia known that the combination of kinetic, hero, and operational use of data from edge, from wherever, things that we've been looking at for the last 15 years, had they understood that the impact of that is much greater. The same way old institutions that are being eaten up by tech, understood that 5 nerds in the basement can actually eat up your whole business, you would had a very different situation. And I'm deeply respectful of our adversaries. Like China and Russia are super interesting, super complicated, super sophisticated, highly competent cultures. They understand everything I'm saying, and they're metabolizing it. Metabolizing new reality takes time.
If you're a leftist, of course, you teamed up to found Palantir, among other people, with a rightist, which is Peter Thiel. Is this clash of political views a problem?
Well, we've been fighting about politics since we met at Stanford. I always think that these things are a problem if there's some kind of surprise, or if you're committed to only having friends that agree with you. So we always disagreed politically. We still disagree on a lot of issues politically. We do, in my opinion, seem to have a somewhat similar view of what it means to build a business, what a successful business will look like, and things that are perhaps more ephemeral but more relevant to our business. And the fact that we don't agree politically, I think it's kind of refreshing. You can have similar assumptions and a different interpretation of those assumptions. Now, we don't always have similar assumptions, but there is, like in this Venn diagram, an overlap of assumptions. There's often not an overlap of conclusions in the political realm, and a pretty healthy discourse on the business side. Although I would say, Steph and Peter and I have made a formidable team in the last couple of years, and both of them I view as good friends.
So what this Morgan Stanley analyst said is, this is a company that should be considered a consulting company, not a software company. And that was in terms of what the multiple that should be applied to that company. How do you think about that?
It's complete idiocy. I mean, it's just like, look, the company that supplied, the product that supplied your vaccine, which I'm sure he took, comes from us. The products that are involved in every war effort in the world come from us. We're working in environments I don't even know about, where my product is installed, no one has access. Where it's like this is just like something that people believe. I'll tell you, this comes from when we build a product, we deploy it, and then we iterate to the point of product productivity.
Karp, as you guys know, is a longtime critic of Silicon Valley, and I asked him whether he thinks big tech is going to have a reckoning given what's happening in the economy and the markets.
The big tech, I doubt it, but the moderate-sized tech, you know, I mean, a lot of these people are depressed because they live in a world where, you know, for every unit of effort they put in, they've gotten 100 units back. And for the first time, they have to live with what the rest of the world lives with, is they did their best, and now they're, you know, it didn't go as well as they thought. And so, you know, I think if you could sell like some form of heroin to them that would put them asleep for 2 years till they could wake up till better times, you could sell for any amount of money. So I think that's probably, you know, their depression is going to be a problem for their companies. But the reason why structurally it's a long way from changing is the parasitic model of we take your asset, whether the asset is your data in individuals or your data as an enterprise, and we sell it back to you where we make all the money, is highly lucrative.